everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 253 for November 15th, 2017. My name is Russell Frost, and I think I am still the host of the show. I forget.
Who knows?
Who's Danny Cooper?
What?
Yeah,
Danny
exactly. Danny, what? Danny, where are you? Well, in his place, there's me. I'm sorry. And luckily for me, I have three of my best friends here to help me sort out this week's news in advanced tech, auto, and sustainable energy. So let me introduce them, and we will get this bad boy rolling. The man in the work shirt who's on hour 13 of his day. Thank you so much for being here. The owner of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey guys and gals out there in internet land, glad to be back. And to show you how bad my day is, it's ending with a PBR because there's no more craft beer in the fridge. So, but any port in a storm, is that what they say?
Will someone, for the love of God, get Paul some good beer, please?
Yeah,
please.
yes.
I think Colorado needs to legalize something that you wouldn't have to drink all that.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
We talked about that on a different show.
On a different show, yeah. Yeah. And that the man from Chicago talking about legalizing something or another. I guess it's coming to Illinois soon. His name is Tony Schaefer.
Yeah, I think there is actually some movement in that front. Although the one thing that I did hear was a legalization of hemp, which is not the same as pot, marijuana, whatever. This would be more of an industrial hemp for more mechanical uses.
Stuff.
Yeah,
so
ropes and paper.
You're legalizing the making of ropes.
Fiber.
Yes.
Fiber.
Yes.
Multi-purpose fiber.
And tarps and whatever else.
And
they
paper.
make.
It turns out that hemp fibers can be used to make paper. Hemp grows faster, and an acre of hemp can produce something like 7 times as much paper as the same acreage of trees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Illinois.
Well, our man in the Great White North, he drives at least one Chevy Volt. His name is Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I see 2 a day. So I got 2 in my driveway, but I drive 1 all the time.
Rat bastard.
Never did like that guy.
And do you drive the newer one or the older one?
I am driving the new one, let me tell you.
Why is... I got nothing. I know. So, I'm trying to decide how I want to start this. I think what I'm going to do is...
supposed to be a rant, right?
It is the rant. It is what Patrick Connor lovingly called Russell's rant. And I have sort of a multi-prong kind of several different news stories kind of all tapped into one. And this started with a long... part of a long argument with our friend and certainly a guest on the show, Ed Niedermeyer. And I have been kind of arguing back and forth on some things. And one of the things that came up is what autonomous cars are going to do, how they're going to change, what social changes they're going to make. And this story caught my eye. And I'm going to run some video here.
All right, video.
Video, and you're going to see what this is, and then we'll talk about what it is that's going on. Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. It's just a guy driving his Tesla. What could be bad about that?
Listening to some tunes.
Yeah, got his little pine tree. Wait. He's reclined. What?
Going way back.
Not even looking at the road. Oh my God!
Oh,
no. Is that a hand-rolled cigarette?
That is a big ass. No, that is definitely
driving through Colorado.
Yeah, must be. Of course, it's Colorado, right? Yeah, that is I guess a comedian of some note. I'm not familiar with him, but who cares? I don't even need to mention his name. Enjoying his Tesla while autopilot is on and smoking a big fatty. And
not the smartest thing to do.
Maybe not the smartest thing to do,
right.
but nonetheless, autopilot, right? The second story I want to bring into this is it comes from a tweet from, like as I said, our friend Ed Niedermeyer, a wonderful story from France. Apparently, in Paris, there is what Ed describes as a groundbreaking semi-autonomous car sharing system that's taken a turn for the dystopian, as Ed very
Awesome.
said, because people are squatting in them and using drugs in them, and apparently they're not very well maintained.
Jeez.
Which, but in a world of car
They're
sharing,
not using them as bathrooms, are they?
You don't know.
depends on how you interpret the phrase squatting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a Japanese toilet squatting. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Not a pretty picture, but nonetheless. So again, you have the new era of vehicles, autonomous autopilot cars. You have vehicle sharing, where who knows what was going on in the vehicle you're driving right now, right before you had it. Yeah. Did you hear an audible shudder from Tony Schaefer?
Yes.
Yeah.
But, okay, so did you see this this one image that was in the comments of that tweet? I'm gonna
Okay,
share it
this
here.
could be really
Oh
bad.
Jesus, I'm so afraid.
This yes, this is one of the cars. And holy crap.
It's a cute little car, but it's beat, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that hatch even stuck on?
I'm not even sure. The front bumper looks like it's hit something a couple of times.
Yeah.
And there's certainly some distinct color variance between all the panels.
I like the stuff running down the back of the unit from the roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what inside the stuff running down? Oh!
Yeah.
So you can see some happy investor who's decided that he's going to invest in one of these cars that's going to print money for him.
Mhm.
And then he comes back a week later and sees his car looking like that. Oh, man. That is, you wouldn't think of that, would you? You roll that into real life and all of a sudden, boom, you're faced with reality.
Right.
It's certainly issues that we have to wrestle with. And we're seeing, not to continue on the whole marijuana theme, but we're seeing the problems in the United States with states that have legalized it, with a federal government that doesn't, and the conflict between that is horrible. So we're going to see, unless our laws and our legislators can keep up with these developments, we're going to see problems like this. What do people do in autopilot that they shouldn't be doing? Especially right now when it's not really autopilot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do people do in the car share thing? Like, and who's maintaining it? And
Who would have ever thought of squatters? That just grab the car and sit in it, rest, go to sleep, whatever.
It's my camper now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And look at that car. Did that car that Tony posted look like much of a camper? I don't even see go back.
Right.
That is a European camper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But again, these are the kind of things that I think we have to start talking about and addressing. And sadly, it seems like most of our legislatures are just ridiculous jokes. They're far too busy doing other things. And without getting into a political rant, the reason I wanted to bring this up is just to plant that seed into all of you who watch and or listen to the show that, we got some things we need to take seriously here.
Yeah, we do like. Yeah, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Could you imagine if you had bought a Tesla S and you put it on their new network that hasn't unveiled yet, and that type of abuse happened to your car? Like, it'll be enough to turn people away in droves.
You would think they would have car cams or something to record everything,
But
and
I don't
graffitied the inside, they would fine you or something.
Ah, man!
Well,
and then you've got to chase people down and collect money.
It would have to be like Uber, where you know exactly the person.
Yeah, your
you
credit
have
card is in
cards
there, I
and-
guess, and
yeah.
you get dinged automatically or something. But
Yeah.
come
So-
up close to a curb and scrape something, like,
I'm
I
tempted
don't
to tell
know.
a U-Haul story here, but I can tell you that it's not uncommon that U-Haul trucks are rented for things other than moving furniture. Okay?
Right.
All variety
line.
of things.
Mhm.
All variety of things. And by
Right.
that, I mean some of those things you just put on the rubber gloves and get a power washer and you wash out the inside. Okay?
Oh man.
Yeah. So again, I mean, these, it's in a sharing culture, we have to look at, so you have a cam of somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's suspense.
Russell
It's
Stone.
suspense.
Right.
He's about
Wake
to
up,
tell
Russell.
us. He's about to tell us. He's about to tell us. And he's back.
And I'm back. Okay, so I don't know where did it freeze?
Well,
You
never
were
told
about
us
to
what they were
say
doing.
what you can you imagine, and then you stopped.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, at least I guess if there's a car cam, at least you get like a video of what happened in your Model X
Right.
while it was gone. Right. But
The guy leaving a Deuce
And
in
you
the
get
front
and you
seat.
get to label that evidence A.
right. But there's still that Deuce in the front seat. Right. And who cares if you have video of it?
Right.
That asshole's gone, and you've got crap in your $100,000 car.
Yes.
Oh.
It is true that we as a society, we like to think the future is going to be like Star Trek. When in reality it's probably going to be more like
The
Blade Runner.
unicorns.
Yeah, Blade Runner. Right.
Yeah.
Well, how many times have you heard in a normal everyday occurrence in business? Oh, it's just a rental.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know those people. Yeah.
How many times
Yeah.
have you said it?
Never buy a former rental car.
Absolutely. It's just a lease. Oh God.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I admit it. So, that's really kind of all I've got. There was another thing, and the only bridge here is that in both cases, these are things that I was arguing with our friend Ed Niedermeyer, who goes by Tweetermeyer on Twitter, by the way, and he's a good follow. You should follow him, even when he's completely wrong and being just absolutely stupid. Still fun to follow.
Still fun.
Absolutely. And I called him stupid, and I shouldn't have. That wasn't good. I didn't mean that, Ed. Just kidding. There was a Financial Times article that that had been touted around various places online, and basically they took an MIT study and cherry picked it and showed that a Mitsubishi Mirage was more life cycle wise was more carbon neutral than a Tesla Model.
I'm going to say he was going to say a Tesla Model S. That would be my guess.
Yeah,
And you're back.
very specifically, like even where these vehicles had to be for this carbon thing to work out. My response was, I've been batting down this kind of stupid crap for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the dust.
There was the one when the Hummer was
right
more clean than the Prius.
Right. And we've seen these over and over and over again. And it's always either completely made up shit or it's cherry picking statistics that in one narrow instance sort of makes sense. Except, of course, Mitsubishi Mirage, Tesla Model X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same thing. It infuriated me. And Ed's point was that it was valid. It's an MIT study. Well, as it turns out, the MIT people came back and said, you guys really abused our data and we're pissed. And the Financial Times hasn't followed up, and I don't know that they will. They published the MIT response, which was good. Cheers to them for that. But it was a grossly irresponsible article. And I'm just, I'm going to dump this. Do you guys have anything to say about this before I rant on?
Other than, how much did they make in ad revenue and click through?
Thank you. Link.
Yeah. Right.
It's more like you said. It's more of the same thing. This argument has been going on forever.
Yeah, and it oddly enough, it always seems to be that the fossil fuel alternative is the better one. Weird. This is weird that works. We a friend, Tony and I have a friend named Pat Sparks, a Prius enthusiast in Australia, and I see his stuff. And apparently, Australia has knocked down a couple of coal power plants, and the pushback from that has been awful. From people saying, "Oh, power's and again, it's all these same tired, illogical, badly formed arguments that don't even really make sense. But tree huggers, damn it.
Right. And through Patrick, I have been following Australia and their legislature, and they have a huge push for natural and renewable energy sources. I mean, it's Australia. It's sunny.
They got a lot of sun.
So much. Yeah. They have a lot of sun. And you hear all the same.
And they're not that far to Asia to buy cheap solar panels.
Right. There you go. But they're bringing all these solar panels and wind farms online, and it's the sun sets, and that's when you're going to need coal.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. And then it never comes back.
It never comes back.
And there's no such thing as batteries or distributed power.
Well, the coal comes back. It just takes 30 million years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It all comes back. Just it's a matter of time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that's all I got this week. I need to shut up for a minute and hand the microphone off to Mr. Coughlin.
Today, Mary Barta of GM was at an investor conference, and she elaborated a little bit more on the 20 EV vehicles that GM will be producing that we heard about a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And Mary indicated that the first 3 are going to be seen within 18 months, coming out in a stagger. And it is widely reported that one of them will be the Buick brand of the current Bolt EV that's now available. So there's going to be a little bit of an interior difference. It's understand that that this vehicle might have a slightly different, a slightly lower different overall EV range, because it's going to be a little bit larger and have some different amenities in the car. Maybe power seats. Who knows?
Is it going to look like an Aztec? It was Pontiac.
That was Pontiac, yeah.
That's defunct now, Paul. They're holding on to that for a future one. But
they may have bought up all the Aztec bodies, and they're just going to reuse them.
So it's the other 2 are not indicated as to what they are, but the thought is there will be a second CUV as well, and that's what they'll be releasing first. And then the conversation went on to the company is going to build another EV platform that will enable them to build a number of other units on a common platform as well. And the talk is 2021 for the new platform. And they also disclosed, they had already disclosed this earlier, that they're paying about $145 per kilowatt hour for their current batteries that are in the Bolt. And they expect over the next few years to bring that down to about $100 per kilowatt. So again, they're aiming to lower the price of batteries, hopefully pass that along to the consumer, and allow us to have a number of different new models that will be entering into service between 2018 and 2025, I guess, would be the end of the cycle. But 20 units within that time frame, mostly CUV, SUV, sports car was mentioned specifically, and a couple of vans. So got a whole bunch of interesting stuff that we're going to be able to see. They just want
to copy VW with the E-van.
they've got the GM Buzz. On the back. Yes, the GM Buzz will be released. No.
Yes, I think right. Because GM is envious of VW.
I think it's interesting that she brought up the Buick brand. I'm not.
Well,
why?
Because
big in China.
that's right. That is going to be their biggest market, and Buick is huge in China.
Right, and that's where I was going with that. But this wasn't in China. This was in New York.
Correct, but they are talking at an investors conference, so
Right.
that's company wide.
Okay,
Right.
and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And if they said like, Buick EV in China. Oh, great! Like they're going to be, there's a lot of people there that love that brand. Here, I don't know that that Buick ever. I mean,
some people like their Buicks.
Grandpa.
Yeah, some people like Buicks.
But I mean, volume wise, it's not.
You're right. Yeah, probably not.
So as auto show season approaches, and the first one, I believe, the kickoff is going to be in Los Angeles in December, I believe.
Oh, is it December this year?
I think it's December.
I need to go to LA in December.
And I know that last year they showed a number of EVs they showed the Bolt, and the second generation Volt came out early for the Los Angeles Auto Show. So I'm curious to see if any of these three that are scheduled will start to show up this year, if we can see them.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But they say within 18 months, so that they may hold it off for another year. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But glad to see there's new stuff on the horizon, and they're starting to produce some more details about them.
So what do you think, guys? Is this viable? Is GM like essentially all in at this point? I don't want to say all in because
it looks like they're trying to make make it known that that's where they want to go. Yeah,
I would have to say they're serious about this. Like when we saw what happened with the second generation Volt and Bolt all coming out based on a schedule that they released a year in advance.
Yeah,
they were dead on. So I can't imagine that she's getting in front of a bunch of shareholders and they're not going to pull this off.
Yeah, because I can't afford a single share of Tesla, but at $43, I can buy some GM.
Well, it is interesting.
And how many cars did GM sell last year?
Just a handful.
Probably more than Tesla,
I
right?
think. Yeah.
Just a bit more. Yes.
Yeah, just a few more.
Just a few decimal places.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly.
Well,
so we'll keep you abreast as we move along through the auto show season and see what appears.
Absolutely.
Good for GM.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Paul.
No, it's great to see that they're, putting their money where their mouth is and investing in EVs. Finally.
Yeah, Eric in the chat room came in with almost 10 million globally.
10 million cars?
Yeah.
It's a lot of cars.
And that's, you know what? And you know what else that is? That is a lot of manufacturing experience.
Yep.
I bet they're welders.
A lot of factories. Yeah.
They certainly won't.
And they probably have enough parking for their employees.
Yeah.
Because they figured that out.
That was figured out in year 2. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm speechless. Let's go to the next thing that make us speechless. Paul has a really fun little list.
Yes. So I forget, where was the source of this list?
Consumer Reports.
Russell?
Consumer Reports. Yeah.
Consumer Reports. Yes, that's right. So Consumer Reports, which is fairly respectable, had a list of the 10 worst cars. Well, not worst cars, but most unreliable cars.
Reliable. Yeah.
And least reliable cars. So on them are some of the ones you'd expect, like some certain Cadillacs and Chevys, and not the Chevy Volts or the EVs, but sorry, my
There's the Chevy
computer is not loading the list for me.
Top is listed.
And Camaro.
Quite frankly, I didn't know a Chevy Camaro could cost $47,000. I just didn't think a Camaro $47,000.
It's got a big V8.
Yeah, you get the Corvette engine in it, and it's that much.
Okay.
But so on the top 10 list, Chevy Camaro, Mercedes GLC, which most of the modern Mercedes are pretty crappy.
Yeah.
Jaguar F-Pace, never heard of it. GMC Acadia, yeah, I'm sure that's a crappy car. Just Fiat 500, that's surprising because the 500e is a pretty decent little car, but they have had troubles. Ford Focus, cheap Econobox, Ford Fiesta, cheaper, crappy Econobox. Volvo XC90, I don't know. I thought Volvos used to be good, but I guess not. Cadillac Escalade, big, ugly GM iron, same thing. But then, surprisingly, one of the top 10 is a Tesla Model X, and that's surprising because reputation. But I guess the Model X, they have all the trouble with the back doors and maybe rushing it to market. Interesting on this article was you didn't see any Japanese car manufacturers as 10 crappiest cars. So, most mechanics will tell you Toyotas and Hondas are pretty darn good cars, and Subaru and Mazda are not far behind. And the Korean cars are pretty good too. Hyundais and Kias are decentish. So anyway, interesting article, and I haven't worked on any of these cars, but just from word on the street from fellow mechanics, they're all kind of crappy cars.
Wow. It's sad to see the Tesla in that #1 spot too.
Yeah.
As the least reliable vehicle. And Consumer Reports cites body hardware, paint and trim, and climate system.
And I think most of it is their funky doors. They look cool when they work, but that's probably not a great system to keep running reliably.
I do, and like the fact that it says they take their time to open and close, which, the one thing which, okay, that looks neat, and I've seen them actuate up and down, and it's fun to watch, but sometimes when it's raining really hard, like sideways, you want a door that shuts like now.
There's that.
And when you're outside the car, you want the door to open like now.
Yeah, not to be able to time it with your remote as you run up to it based on what's going on. Yeah.
Right. Well, plus if it like Tony says, if it's raining sideways, you're going to get 5 gallons of water in before you get the door closed again.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Just as an adjunct to this, there is a link to the 10 most reliable cars, and for those of you who are interested, Kia Niro, which I wouldn't think would be that great, but I guess it's a pretty good car. The Subaru BRZ, which is also sold as a Toyota 86. It's a little sports car. It's pretty cool.
Right.
That's reliable.
Wow.
Lexus ES, Lexus GS, the Audi Q3. That's a little shocking to me, but Toyota RAV4, Lexus IS, another Lexus Toyota Prius C, and Infiniti Q70. So only the Audi is not an Asian car out of all of the top 10. Mm-hmm. And what is it? 6 or 7 are Toyota or Lexus products. So,
wow.
What does that say? Someone out there knows how to make reliable cars.
And I mean, argue what you want about Consumer Reports. In general, their car stuff is pretty good. It's evidence-based. Yeah. It's not, they're not.
They have no advertisers.
Right. They're not like the automobile rags that are, honestly compromised.
Yeah, junket funded.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Paul, for that. That's a nice way to end with good news. By the way, that was nice. That was very, very nice. Let's see, Tony. I think you have the next thing.
Yeah, talk about, thanks for ending on a up note, and then here I am with an article about Ford trying to kill subsidies for electric vehicles.
No, Ford's all in on electric vehicles. Right. They've told us several times in a row.
Oh boy, they've said many times that they're in on it. So really, what this is a Bloomberg Politics, and the article is entitled "Utilities Push for Electric Car Tax Credit While Ford Stays Neutral." Which you can read the article, and it's a relatively lengthy article, to be honest. But the crux of it is, quite understandably, utilities are in favor of getting more electric vehicles on the road. this makes perfect sense because now they become the fuel source. So literally they're taking money away from the diesel and gas industry. Yeah, the Koch brothers. And so, of course, the utilities really want to be in on this. So they're pushing for these. And then you also have companies like General Motors, who we just talked about. They support the tax effort. They are the only automaker to say publicly that they plan to convince tax writers to keep the credit, and they believe in an all-electric future. And then you have Ford. And Ford has come out and said that they really like the new, advanced tax reform, and they're in favor of this, and it's going to keep our nation more competitive, and it's going to support American investments and jobs. But nowhere in there did they mention that Congress is trying to kill the $7,500 credit for electric vehicles. They
Do you
didn't.
think they just maybe missed that part?
They might have just missed that point. They could have. Yeah, they were like, "Oopsies, our bad." Yeah, no. Yeah, so Ford, who tells a good story and speaks a good game when no one's looking, they don't make good electric vehicles. They say they're going to make electrified vehicles, which could just be a crappy hybrid mishmash Camaro, and then they walk away from anything that could possibly help the consumer try to buy an electric vehicle.
You mean Ford, the company that just announced this week they were killing the energy plug-in and the energy hybrid?
Yeah, the very same. Go figure.
The one that can't produce the Ford Focus Electric, oddly enough.
Mm-hmm. Which is a shame, because I now have a plug-in buddy at work. Guess what it is?
What is it?
It's an energy.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if Ford's canning those plugins, maybe they know that those tax rebates are going away. They got inside info.
So here's a little more depth to what Tony said, though. All the car companies, everyone, through the 2 car lobbying groups, as we've reported on here, lobby against this stuff. Okay? And that includes all the companies we love, whether it's Chevy or Toyota or Nissan or Lexus or somebody else, through the National Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers and the Global Auto Manufacturers, I think. They both lobby against this stuff. So they don't do it directly. And I'll give, hey, you know what, Ford, they got some big balls. Okay, good for you. Thank you. Thank you for that. The one other thing I wanted to jump in, our friend Chelsea Sexton wrote a little article today on her website that was very good. And it was basically a 5-point sort of suggestion. And the headline is, "Don't just save EV tax credits, fix them." And I'm going to run over her 5 points really quick. Number 1, point of sale rebates, not tax credits. Enough with the tax credits thing. Let the person who's buying the vehicle save right away. Don't make them wait a year.
Mm-hmm.
Give them
or not know what their tax situation is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 2, vehicles must be available for sale, not just lease, nationwide, everywhere. Again, this has been
not just in CARB states.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been a huge problems with EVs and even hybrids back in the day, that the car companies were limited the sale of them to CARB states, and didn't bother distributing them out. This is a horrible strategy for a number of reasons. For those of us that want to see cleaner vehicles out there. Number 3, MSRP caps, but not means testing. In other words, it's not a matter of how much the person makes. We don't need to go into all that other difficult to verify crap about, well, you make too much money, you don't get this testing. Simple, boom. This electric vehicle costs this much. Anything below, let's say, $40,000 qualifies for the credit. Anything above that, enjoy your luxury vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea, because I don't think there's any reason we need to be subsidizing six-figure electric vehicles for the wealthy as we go forward with this. Who's going to hate me on that one?
Right, but trickle down environmentalism.
I
right?
asked trickle down for you, Tony.
Right. If you give the credits to the rich, they'll share them with the poor.
I think we lost
Yeah.
Number 4 on Chelsea's list is increased battery size requirements, which is another good point. Encourage manufacturers to make genuinely usable size plugins and EVs. And 5, another excellent point. All the credits should be pooled. Currently, each manufacturer has a number of credits to use up, and what that does is there's no race to use up the credits, because no matter what, Ford has X number of credits.
Mhm.
They don't make them this year, those credits will be there next year unless it goes away, and they don't care. If it was 200,000 credits for everybody, and whoever sells the most of these cars that qualify gets the bonus, I think we'd see some different motivation on the menu.
Yeah,
Right.
More aggressive marketing.
you might even see marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
As always, Chelsea makes some
Yeah,
good
those are all great
Yeah.
great points. So
Sorry, I just wanted to I'm an interrupted guy tonight.
No, and you know what? And there is actually a positive end, hopefully, to the Congress tax tax whatever bill that cuts. And in the American political system, things go from the House of Representatives to the Senate for review, approval, and/or modification. And the people have spoken. When it was revealed that the congressional tax plan wanted to kill this, people rose up, whatever, and they wrote to their representatives. They called them. They did whatever they had to do, and the Senate released a form of their tax package in which they keep the electric drive vehicle credit intact. So it looks like, all the worry about Congress taking it away, it looks like the Senate might be more level-headed and might keep the $7,500 credit.
And when will we know for sure? Because this goes back and forth. Like, how do you know it'll happen or won't happen?
Oh,
it
know,
ain't over till it's over.
I'm speaking as a Canadian that has no clue as to what's going on.
Welcome to America, where we have no.
We have no idea what's going on. Yeah.
I mean,
When they figure out healthcare.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys are screwed.
When they were in the minority, they tried to repeal Obamacare over 50 times. Now they're still trying, and they can't do it. And they own both houses and the presidency.
Yeah. Trust me, the Americans who are most adjusted and understand this the best are smoking doobies in their Tesla.
Jeez.
If that's any indication.
Bad thing.
No, I didn't say it was a bad thing.
That's what they got $7,500 off on.
Right. See? Looking better every day.
Wow.
They can buy more weed with that money.
Yeah.
More weed.
Right. So as it is, we don't know. At
Don't
least not yet.
So if you're out there, don't stop calling your representatives.
you've got to keep calling.
There's no point in stopping, because even though it looks good now, if you who knows what'll happen.
And I will say this one thing is really nice is that if you are on Facebook and you're in the United States, Facebook has introduced. They did this at the last election. It's called Town Hall. And I'm looking at it right now. And if you are on your computer, I don't know if this is on the mobile version, but over on the left, you have all your quick links. And there's one called Town Hall. They use your location and they show you your state representatives and federal representatives. And you can contact them directly. And if they're not on Facebook, they give you phone numbers and email addresses and physical addresses.
That makes it really easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you have no excuse.
Get up.
Reach out to your representatives.
And by reach out, Tony means Smacked them upside the damn.
Smack them upside the head. And if you're a viewer or listener and you're not in the United States, would lie and
Tell them you are.
write them all, email them all. Yeah,
I like that, Tony. That's good. That was a good comment. Nice. I've got an article that's been kind of burning a hole in my mental pocket. And the problem is I hate the source. I've never been a fan of Seeking Alpha. And I know that other panelists on the show, they go back and forth. They kind of like it. And I think in some ways this article's just kind of, the writing in it's just someone wanted to show off. But some of the numbers are really hard to argue with. Seeking Alpha published an article on November 10th. And the headline is, and I quote, "Tesla approaches terminal decline," unquote. And the article is a scathing review. It's a scathing 9-point review of why Tesla is circling the bowl. You can say what you want about shorting and all of that, but it is a devastating look at where Tesla is right now if you accept all of their conclusions. So you want to know, okay, I brought this up, I mentioned it on the show. Do I believe it? I believe a good portion of it. Yeah, I think they're making some really good points. Do I think that this is Tesla's terminal decline? I think, and I'll quote my friend Mark Coughlin from the show that we just did, the Tesla Life episode, that hasn't been determined yet. And I think that Tesla has another quarter or so to work this out. But I don't think that they can last forever. Did you guys get a chance to dig into this at all?
No, unfortunately, I have not.
Okay.
No. But I mean, it's, as every week goes by, it's tougher because GM, Mercedes, everyone else are building their EVs. So
that's an excellent point. I mean, certainly the competition gets, certainly the Chevy Bolt looks better and better.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there, and you can go see it and touch it and buy it if you want. Assuming the Chevy dealer has it and doesn't try to sell you a freaking Cruze or something.
No, the Camaro.
A Camaro, you're right.
So go in with your mind made up, people.
Yeah, yeah. But it does talk about the managerial churn that Tesla's gone through, Tesla and Solar City, for that matter. It talks a lot about.
And it goes into a lot of detail about those things. So he moved to
lots
California
of charts and graphs.
Sorry?
You're back.
Yeah, you froze again.
Russell does have good video, though, when he's working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're having some technical difficulties if you haven't noticed.
Somebody take the show over.
Okay. So
good day,
Russell needs a new internet company.
Bandwidth wasn't just quite enough where Russell was at that moment. But I've just got one more thing to throw in, and it also includes information about Tesla, is that you know how they've been fighting different states about being able to sell cars. Dealer associations have been blocking them from selling cars in certain states. One of those states, of course, is Michigan. I think that's just a coincidence that Michigan would be part of that. But Michigan has been blocking them from selling cars. And Tesla, a number of months ago, decided that they were going to open up a gallery in a Nordstrom's department store just to show the car. And we reported on that and showed the cars in a small space in Nordstrom's and basically just big enough for the car and some posters behind it. Well, today they opened a standalone gallery in Troy, Michigan. And I'll just share the photo here.
Is it legal, or is this like a pop-up thing and they have to move it when the cops come?
No, well, yeah, they just throw they just throw like a.
It's just like a museum. You can look at it, but you can't
That's
buy
right.
it.
You can look at it. You can ask questions about it. They can't speak about pricing, and they can't let you buy it there.
Wow.
But they can direct you where to go buy it through the website, over the internet, and you have to take delivery in a nearby state.
Can you go over the river and buy it in Windsor?
You could, but that would cost you more because of the Canadian dollar and such. But you also could go to Toledo and buy it there, which is only, it's only a few miles down the road from Detroit. But interesting that they've opened now a brand new gallery in Troy at a shopping mall, the Somerset Collection Mall in Troy, Michigan. And so they're fighting on their own terms and trying to put that in place. But it's interesting that there are, if it is a place that they want to be in, they can open these galleries to at least show people the cars and allow them to touch and get in them and see what they look like.
But no test drives, right?
No test drives. None.
So they should have like the local EV club.
And they do. And they do.
Hanging out back and say, we'll give you a ride in ours.
There have been instances of that in other states where dedicated EV owners will come to the store and spend a few hours and go into the store and ask them, would anyone like a test drive? And that owner is allowed to do that. They can allow people to drive their car. They can drive them. It doesn't matter. And and certainly, doesn't that speak to the brand that you've got a guy that bought a car from the company that's not connected, that's spending his free time allowing others to test drive the car? Like I'm thinking
other strangers.
Other strangers, yes. Like I'm really thinking that holds very well for Tesla.
Well, as long as they don't squat in the car.
Well, the driver and owner are there.
Yes. Okay.
What, you mean what? So I just want to
Russell's back.
Am I back?
You are.
Yes.
You're back.
I just want to know why with these numbers I can't seem to get through a show. Okay? Does everybody see
Because you pissed off someone at Cox Cable and they're like pushing a button every now and then to mess with you.
Right.
Thank you, Cox Cable. We'll be talking more soon, I promise. Oh, did I say that? Okay. Mark, thank you for that. I guess do we have one more thing?
That's really cool then, because Troy is like right next to Detroit.
It is. Right? It's on. It's right on the main Woodward Avenue, just to the north, or to the I guess that would be northwest of the downtown Detroit.
Yeah, I do think it would be. We kind of talked about them partnering with Nordstrom. I do think it would be interesting if Tesla could partner with like a Sam's Club or a Costco or something like that, and and like get in their retail space and say, no, it's not a Tesla showroom.
Yeah, it's just a product on a shelf.
It's just a product. Yeah, it's just a product at a Costco. Hey, I don't know what to tell you.
We get a skin of them out back. We'll roll some out so you can see.
Yeah.
We keep them stacked in the back corner of the parking lot. We'll bring a couple up so you can take a look.
It's like the movie Employee of the Month, if you guys have seen that.
Yes.
Puts his car up on the But I mean, that when you think about it, that kind of circumvents the whole thing. You just make it a product in a store. And the store even says, yeah, I know you can't sell it here, but we're going to give you the retail space for certain lease, whatever.
Gotta love that.
So if you're in Troy or the Detroit area, feel free to pop in and take some pictures and share them with us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'd love to see it. And, but don't try to buy anything.
Don't
get them in trouble. Right.
Don't get them in trouble.
Yeah. Jesus, think about this stuff. Let's do some shout-outs and go home. Mr. Guzik, I'm going to start with you, sir.
I'd like to give a shout out to the great Toyota dealers in New Jersey and Connecticut who are still selling Prius Primes for $3,500 below list price, and making a lot of Colorado residents very happy this week.
You know what? We should get a couple names of dealers and let them let people know who to contact.
Well, if you go to cars.com, search for Prius Prime nationwide, and sort by price, all the cheap dealers percolate to the top.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Gotta love
And
that.
it's you know, it's weird. In Colorado, you still can't find Prius Primes, but you can walk in New Jersey and buy one today. So, and buy it for $3,500 off of MSRP. Go figure.
And if you're in the Boulder area,
And a second plug. Sorry. Yes. Second plug. My business, Boulder Hybrids. If you're in the Boulder, Denver area and you need your hybrid fixed or your EV tuned up, change the spark plugs maybe. Check us out at boulderhc.com.
You might have to update your poster there, Paul. It what is it? Looks like you got a second gen
What does it
Prius
say?
on the thing.
Well, that's kind of the classic hybrid, logo. So
it's the Prius Classic, Tony. Don't you know about the Prius Classic?
yes.
Look at
You're
that
mute-
expression.
You're
No,
muted.
it's the
Tony.
iconic Prius.
Iconic.
Yeah. Oh God.
Sorry. Tony, why don't you give your shout out? I bet you have a special one right now.
I do. I'm giving a shout out to everybody who's in the chat room with me, of course, everybody there. So of course, the usual gang, there's JT and Eric and Philip, who had a very exciting and fun-filled trip to Vegas. He's been documenting his trip to Vegas in the chat room. And I don't want to ruin it because it sounds like he had a really good time in Vegas. And I don't know if I said Lee, but yeah, thanks Lee. Thanks again for your Tesla music. And thanks to everyone for joining us in the chat room. It's kind of funny. It's the same people who do the Tesla Life. They take an hour like we do, and then come back and then watch another show. But it's great being in the chat room.
Cool. Thanks for watching.
And we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much. Thank you, Tony. Mr. Coughlin?
Just a shout out to the Waterloo Region Voltec Group and Waterloo Region EVA, who we're having a meeting with on November the 21st.
Is that the Canadian version?
That's-
EVA?
EVA, that's right. So we'll be getting together at Communitech in Kitchener on November 21st. If you're in the area at 7 p.m., let us know and come join the meeting. We've got a couple of presentations and a lot of EV talk. So all EV owners and people that are prospective EV owners are welcome.
Those are EV wannabes.
EV wannabe, yes.
Oh.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. That's kind of a challenging way to put it, Paul. I like that. Well, as always, I want to thank Michael Manning for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Buy his stuff at CD Baby or iTunes. Visit us on Facebook. We love Facebook. Facebook.com/whatdrivesus. You can comment there, see the news sometimes that we talk about ahead of time, maybe even before, whatever. Tell us how we're doing. We love that. Like the page, please. On Twitter, oddly enough, at What Drives Us. We post on Twitter once in a while. And of course, the place that I really want you to go, right down there, youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Please go there. Please subscribe to the channel. Please ask your friends to subscribe to the channel. Click on a few videos. Check it out. We would love that if you would share them, maybe even on your Facebook page, maybe on your Twitter account, maybe on Instagram. Who cares? I don't care. As long as it's not Pinterest. I hate Pinterest. Oh, shit. I just wrecked the whole Pinterest.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
You just lost another
I
sponsor.
just lost it.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Pinterest.
I don't know about anybody else, but I was not expecting that.
I am now going to create a Russell Frost Pinterest account. It's gotta be epic.
So, youtube.com/what drives us, all one word, no spaces, no gaps, no other silly things. We're easy to find. Just please subscribe. We definitely appreciate it. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Flipboard.
Michael Mannering. Thanks, Michael Mannering.
Oh, Flipboard, Tony. I already did.
Everything.
Oh, geez, yeah, okay. If you use Flipboard as your news aggregator, look for the What Drives Us magazine, where we post a lot of our articles that we cover on the store. And Philip, when he's not watching lesbians at hockey games in Las Vegas, posts a lot of articles there too. Hey, I told you it was a good trip.
I got I got nothing.
And you can read all about it in Pinterest under Russell Frost.
Tony's new Pinterest page, yeah. Guys, Paul, Tony, Mark, thank you so much for doing the show. It's 253 shows. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks to all of you who watch and or listen. Thanks so much. We do the show for you. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Here's my music.
Oh, cut.
Yeah, I know.
Start over.
Yeah. Guess. This is an Apple problem. Oh, I'm gonna kill every Apple device I have.
Right. He said that 5 years ago.
Are you sure it's not Cox Cable?
Literally, I hit the button when I said what drives us, and it just Thank you, Apple. Have a great one. We'll see you next week.
Laters.
See ya.
Bye-bye.